Thanks, Peter. It's a bittersweet pleasure to introduce today's program, a beautiful series of pieces. I can't think of a more gorgeous set of little musical gems. And Jack himself chose these works about 2 months ago. I went to visit him in Durham Street. He was sitting up in bed, and while he was a shadow of his former physical self, he still somehow summoned up the energy to print off one of his infamous to-do lists for me. He thrust a piece of paper at me saying, "Mike, you're going to organize a party for me. Here's my wish list." All of the pieces on this list he somehow considered illustrated an aspect of his musical, cultural, and personal loves. Of course, the music of Asia is there. He requested the gamelan Parang Moncha to fill the space with the sounds of Indonesia as people entered and exited. And thank you, that was gorgeous. But of course, also the music of China is a recurring theme throughout today's program. Jack's love of beauty, stillness, and simplicity shines through in a series of iridescent musical gems. The first of these works that we will hear, he simply called the Bouyi 1. It's a piece for string quartet that frames a field recording of 2 women from the Bouyi minority of Yunnan in southern China. Jack was particularly struck by the way in which these women quietly cadence onto a major second, something that in common practice Western harmony that Jack was brought up in is a dissonance and thus strictly forbidden. Jack revelled in breaking these rules and in revelling in these quiet, dissonant pleasures. He was also intrigued by the way in which this music reminded him very much of the music of Bulgarian women's choirs, half a world away. Before the piece is performed, however, we're pleased today to be able to screen a short excerpt from a video interview that Jack gave in which he talks about discovering the music of this region.
Big topic, big country. Yeah. And it began really in the 80s, and I met somebody here, and he had cassette recordings of polyphonic music of the minorities. And this was some music I'd never heard before, and it certainly didn't sound like any Chinese music I'd ever heard. So I realized in China there were whole areas of music unknown. So I engineered a visit to China in the mid-80s, and I made contacts with composers there, but I also spent some time in the countryside and discovered the so-called minorities. And we made a film, and I gathered material, and I made other trips. So it began, I mean, there's no end to China.